Yeah, good morning. You're still watching the breakfast show on Business Day television. Now, this is Business Morning segment. I am Destiny Momoh. Thank you for starting your day with Business Morning. And now let's move to the first conversation for today. Talking about purpose as profit, how values are powering business success. In today's competitive marketplace, are businesses are after discovering that success is no longer measured solely by financial returns, but also by the strength of their values. From sustainability to social impact, companies across industries are finding that purpose is not just a moral compass, as it is a profit driver. Brands that align with social causes, embrace environmental responsibility, and uphold transparent practices are actually gaining deeper trust from consumers, investors, and employees alike. Recent studies show that customers are more willing to remain loyal and even pay a premium for companies whose values reflect their own. And in Nigeria and across the globe, this shift is particularly evident among younger demographics who are demanding more from the businesses they support. Beyond profit, they also expect companies to stand for something meaningful, whether that's inclusivity, ethical sourcing, or community development. And now, joining us to dissect the importance of purpose-driven businesses is Coach Adaobi Udeogu, an executive purpose coach. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Destiny.
So good to have you.
My pleasure.
Now, I've been wondering, watching you, make a lot of people understand what their purpose is about. So many times we do not understand and we underestimate the part of purpose in finding our life paths, especially entering the kind of businesses that we should go into to actually find out how we can be successful in this field. But, with coaches like you, it is easy to actually find your life path and not just delve into any kind of business without knowing if you can actually make a headway in it. So now, how has defining a clear sense of purpose influenced companies' long-term strategy and direction?
So, I would say, like, in my line of business, the first thing that we hear, like, all the time is that, purpose is this thing that's intrinsic. It's more on the inside. Like, how do you, like, translate that into business strategy, into profit? Everybody wants profit. So how do you do this? And obviously, that's where this question is coming from.
Yeah.
Purpose is internal. It's like an internal compass.
Okay.
It is like at your core. It is who you are, why you were created. Most times people do not realize that they are already living their purpose. Someone like me, I started multiple businesses before I got here today. I had, I've been a jewelry, business owner. I have done fashion. I've done different things. But when I started to understand what purpose is, and when I dive deep into self-discovery, I wasn't able to build a business that encompasses me as a person. Now, my business is reflecting my true self, which is where values come in. It shows who I am, the kind of things that I stand for, what I would not be able to take. It helped me to project my boundaries. This, in turn, brought in the right people, and that's where strategy comes into it. When you understand the why for a business, you're able to create the how, which is a strategy. And at that point, profit becomes a giving. It's like a byproduct of this alignment.
All right, and so then can purpose actually be that sustainable differentiator, risk involved and all of that one? What do you have to say on that?
Yeah, so I'll say that purpose is a core differentiator. It is like the competitive edge that many businesses in today's world do not realize that they need. Many businesses are more towards profit. Now, not that profit is a bad thing, it's actually good. You wouldn't be in business if not for profit. But purpose is what keeps you apart from other businesses. It's what helps customers to connect emotionally to you. And as much as we like to think that the business world is hardcore, human beings are emotionally driven. People want to buy from that customer who represents who they stand for as a person. If a customer can resonate with what you stand for, they find themselves drawn more to you, because if you were selling a product, there are 1,000 people in the market selling that same product. But why you? Why are you different? That's purpose.
So now, what challenges have you faced in embedding purpose into measurable business goals and KPIs,
Awesome.
the key performance impacts?
Awesome. So this is the greatest challenge when it comes to, obviously, translating purpose into profit and all the things. Every client I've worked with wants ROI, want the return on investment. I'm paying you, I want to be able to see how that helps my company grow bigger or get more money and everything. So where we key this into KPIs is by making it people-centered. Anything that has to do with purpose brings people to the core of it. That is why it is exceptional for business, because it personifies the business. It takes the business away from this steel building and concrete and mortar and makes it more human. So now how we do this is we make it such that your strategies, everything that governs your business, has people at the forefront of it. It could be the people that are working in the organization or the people that you're serving. So far as we can measure the impact we're having on humans, on the people, if people can say, this particular thing changed my life, or this particular thing made me more loyal to your organization, we count that as a win.
So now I'm talking about the workforce culture, right? Now, and how has your workforce culture and productivity, how has it shifted since aligning with shared purpose?
Awesome. So I just did a workshop with with one of my clients' HR team, because on the back of purpose, because it's all people driven, I am more inclined towards HR, because that's where people are. Now, I did a workshop recently, and we chatted about the organization, what the organization stands for, organizational values, what are the core values of this organization. And what I discovered, like what I saw happening right in front of my eyes, was people changing. They literally were changing because they were becoming more connected to the organization. They could see where they fit in. Because if this organization stands for this and I as a person stand for this, that means I actually can find myself in this organization because we have an aligned and shared purpose. Now, this makes your people to become loyal to the organization. And if the HR of the organization can be loyal to the organization, it means that in everything they do, they would be eager to represent the organization, and it's a win.
Oh wow! Now I'm talking about like corporate purpose. I'm sure there's something like corporate purpose, right?
Yes.
Now, if a company actually has like a corporate purpose, how does a strong corporate purpose enhance? How does it enhance customer loyalty and even the trust from brands?
Awesome. So, what's your best brand?
Do I really say that now? I don't want to do free marketing for them.
Okay, so let's just say I don't know. Let me just use a random market.
Okay.
So if there was a shoe brand, right, that it created very nice sustainable shoes, right? Always did everything to ensure that it uses the perfect leather, and customers know that when they buy from this brand, the shoe is going to last, so it doesn't hurt the environment. But on the back of that, for every shoe that you buy, we give one shoe to children on the streets who don't have the ability to get shoes for themselves. Okay. So maybe the organization is running like a back to school project, right? So now children who are struggling, obviously their parents are struggling. Every time you buy these shoes, and these shoes with premium, we buy a shoe for a child outside. Now, when you buy the shoes as a customer, you are not longer buying just for yourself. You know that you're buying for a child out there, and you want to be part of that. That is where CSR comes in, corporate social responsibility. That organization that's selling these shoes has stepped away from just being a shoe brand into being a brand that pushes good for the society. So now it's no longer about being a market leader, it's about being a movement pusher. You're pushing a movement in the society, and that makes customers to become loyal to you, because in as much as the customer likes what you're selling, they are more connected to why you sell what you sell.
So, a lot of times you come out as an individual to, want to project a particular success story, and sometimes it doesn't really come out that way, but when people know that they have purpose coaches, maybe purpose coaches like you that are very, very hard to find, and then maybe they apply or finally get one, does it make the business pitch better?
So I would say that Well, you're right. A business coach could definitely help with that. For us, purpose coaches, where that will come in is helping you to see the story behind the experience. So if you have a success story, right? Many people tend to project success stories from the area of I did this, I'm very good at that, right? And nobody wants to hear that. People are struggling with their own lives. They want to connect with you as a person. Now that is where the purpose that you got through the pain, that is where we help you project that. Because if I went through a mental health challenge, right, and at the back of that I came out strong, I was able to build a very big business, maybe a 6-figure dollar business, right? And now I'm saying to you, you too, you can pass this phase. You too, you can get to where I am, and I'm happy to lend a helping hand to pull you out. People would connect with that better because they see themselves where you were, and now they know that if you could get out to where you are, then they can too. So most times where we come into the situation that you're talking about is in helping you see how you can pitch your story to people such that they can see themselves in you as a person, and aim to get to where you are.
So how can you define purpose-driven businesses? When you see one, are you able to tell that this business, is purpose-driven? Or how do you detect?
Awesome. So I'll use something that is very common to give an answer to this question: luxury, right? When you step into a luxury environment, you don't need to be told. It speaks for itself. And luxury is so quiet that it takes obviously very good eyes to see, this place is actually luxury. This place is actually not luxury. That's the same thing with purpose. When you decide that you want your organization to be a purpose-driven organization, you can tell even from the choice of paint on the wall. Yes, you can tell from the rug on the floor. You can tell from the way that the people in the organization dress, the way they speak, the way they stand. It tells you if this organization is purpose-driven or not. Because when you decide that your organization is going to be purpose-driven, it is woven into the very fabric of the organization. Every strategy is purpose-driven. The values are projected, not just written on the wall. I've seen that a lot. Organizations write purpose stuff on the wall, but when you hear them speak, when you have interactions, you know that they are completely profit-driven. When you see a purpose-driven organization, it is so easy to tell because everything speaks of the why.
All right, and so then how do leaders balance profit objectives with the pursuit of purpose?
Okay, so like I said, you would not be in business without profit. That's the core essence of being in business. You want to give out value and you want to get, money and other things in return. Now, so profit is a sure thing. Without profit, you can't be in business. Now, let's bring purpose. Like we said at the beginning, purpose is the differentiator. It is like you taking a step further. So we're all in business because we want to make profit. Good and fine. Now, how do I separate myself? What is the competitive edge? That's where purpose is. Why are we in this business? How can we impact the greater world? When you are able to create a strategy that promotes your purpose without affecting the profit, and I put it like that because sometimes people create strategies that are not sustainable for their organization.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the fact that you want to be a purpose-driven organization, it has to be aligned with what the organization stands for and how the organization intends to make profit. Okay. Once you can balance these two things, the organization is going to go greater than any other player in that particular field. Because once profit is coming in and purpose is center and core, obviously to the leaders and to everyone in the organization, it becomes a differentiator, a competitive edge, and a means of increasing profits.
All right. And so in what ways has purpose inspired innovation or opened new growth, especially in opportunities in different organizations?
Awesome. So the thing with purpose is it always asks a question, what next?
Okay.
What next? So now we're doing it this way, right? How can we do it better? One thing I love about being purpose-driven is that it takes the spotlight away from you and it puts it on the people whom you have been sent to. In Jeremiah 1:5, I'm a Christian. The Bible talks about Jeremiah being sent as a prophet unto the nations. Every business has a nation that he has been sent to. When you understand these nations very well, which are your target audience, you're able to create solutions that impact them. Now, when you've created solution A, the question is, what next? And that also gives birth to solution B, because if they're saying, oh, you solved this very well, can you solve this? And then you're able to still use that same value to create a different solution. That's where innovation comes in.
Okay.
And it's something that is never ending, because you keep drawing out of this well that doesn't ever dry up, which is purpose.
All right. And so how do you ensure your leadership team, right, consistently communicates and leaves out, different companies' purpose?
Okay, awesome. So the thing with leadership is not management.
Okay.
That's like one of the core things, because I also do leadership development.
All right.
It is not management. Management is a position. Oh, I'm the manager of this, I'm the CEO of that. That's management, right? So that's good and fine. Now, being a leader, you don't have to be in a managerial position to be a leader.
Okay.
However, when you lead an organization, right, for you to be termed a leader in that organization, it means that you embody the values of the organization. Anybody who meets you should be meeting the organization. It's as if I'm having a one-on-one chat with the organization in human form.
Okay.
Now, when leaders are able to embody the values of the organization, the purpose of the organization, if they are as driven as the organization is or claims to be, then every interaction with that leader will project what the organization stands for. You now begin to see it in communication, the way they speak. When they go for networking events, excellent, because it's as if, oh my God, I'm speaking to the organization, right? Once there is that alignment between the leader and what the organization stands for, it spreads.
Oh, wow. Okay, it's been a very smooth ride. But then one last question. I want you to give advice, or give an advice or two, to SMEs, startups, on their long-term success. How can they actually first, okay, like say, okay, they want to plan a success story, in the next decade. What line of advice should they be moving with?
Okay, so my advice for SMEs and startups is, don't think you have to grow to be super big before you start to put purpose strategies in place. Start from right now. It is easier to put the purpose foundation when the business is still coming up than when it has grown to a certain level and it has built a brand, right? So my greatest advice to any SME that's listening to us right now, or any person that is thinking, you know what, I want to start up a business, is right at the core, at the foundation of that startup, determine your why. Why are you starting up that business? How can your business contribute to the good of the greater society? How would your business outlive you and continue to impact in generations after you? You have to be futuristic in planning. If you're planning for the next 5 years, I want to make $1 million, that's very small-minded. Think of the fact that your business could live past 100 to 200 years, impacting societies even after you're gone. When you have that at the back of your mind, the strategies that you create, the team that you put together will be legacy-oriented type people. And at that point, you're able to put together a business that is completely purpose-driven. Not that you would ignore profits, but when people come in contact with your business, they feel that aura that purpose gives.
Oh my God, Adobe, it's been awesome, speaking with you. And it feels like it should be endless, And this always happens when I'm on your page listening to you. Thank you so much for all your impact, especially to SMEs and startups and even business owners alike. And now we've been talking with Adaobi Udeogu. She's the executive purpose coach. After this break, we will bring you our second conversation on housing. You're still watching Business Morning on The Breakfast Show. Stay with us.